What's up, you beauties? Welcome to High and Wide Hockey YouTube channel, episode, we think, 27, season 8. I'm your host, Jim Icabone, and I'm joined, as always, by Jack Smith. And if you're watching us on YouTube, make sure to smash that subscribe button and hit the alert so you never miss a show. Also, give us a like. We're going to try to hit 100 likes for the episode. And for all you podcast listeners out there, don't forget to subscribe on Apple Podcast or Spotify so you're first in line when newest episodes drop. We've got a lot to get to this week. It was a rough end of the week for the Flyers, rough end to the homestand. Started out with the big 5-2 win over the Anaheim Ducks and progressively got worse from there. And, you know, we have there, I don't know, maybe there'll be some positive at some point in the episode. But Jack, we have a lot of topics to get to. Chat, once you guys start piling in here, let us know what you want to talk about. But currently, Jack, the Flyers sit at 22, 14-8, good enough for 52 points, which means they sit third in the Metro as of 8:09 p.m. on Tuesday night. Now, if everything goes the wrong way tonight, the Flyers could be as low as 11th in the Eastern Conference. Currently, they sit third in the Metro, so hopefully they don't fall too far down. Or maybe we want that, Jack, and maybe we'll talk about that a little bit later on in the episode. I mean, look, are the Flyers as good as we think they are? Are they as good as their record and their place in the standings would have you believe? Or would you welcome one of their 10-game losing streak meltdowns and slide down the standings for one more season? I don't know. I can tell you what, though, Jack, and I kind of want to open up with this. If that's the plan, just start Sam Ersson.
Oh, geez, that'll get us done.
How do you get there?
Yeah, that'll do it. Ooh, when I saw Vladar against Tampa playing with his leg, like he did something, that thought went through my head. I'm like, oh, my God, the injuries are piling up. Forrester's out for the year. Drysdale and Brinker hurt. Konechny's had a couple of, he left in the second period, I believe, in the Toronto game. And now if Vladar were to go down, forget about it. So that did cross my mind. To answer your question, I really don't know where I stand on that. I love the draft. I know this team needs talent, but I don't know. I feel like you have to fully commit one way or another, and I don't think they'll do that. And that unfortunately, it's going to wind up not being as good as it sounds, and then you're losing again. And how are you going to attract free agents and players and trades? And yeah, I know that seems secondary, but I feel like you're turning a corner. Things go downhill due to injury, not because of poor play, really, outside of most players. And then you're looking at a situation like that again. It leaves a bad taste in my mouth. And for us, we'll probably draft like 6, then there won't be 5 centers ago or something like that. So I don't know. I don't know where I stand on that. But it might not be my choice. It might just happen if injuries keep piling up.
It kind of feels like, so it's good that they have some depth, and I guess the injuries that are happening. I mean, Jamie Drysdale, of course, on defense, but they have depth at wing. Enough so that Michkov is still playing on the third line, even with Brink out and TK missing some brief time here. I look, the table could always tilt on this team, right? Like it could happen that quick, but it always kind of felt a little easier. Like what's more likely? This team goes on a 10-game winning streak or a 10-game losing streak? You would say probably 10-game losing streak, right?
I would definitely lean that way, yes.
And once again, the goalie position could sink this team. And the team in front of the goalie it's okay. It's decent. Dan Vladar is, without Vladar, where would this team be right now? Yeah. Right. But it almost feels to me like a Brian Elliott, Michael Neuvirth situation. Now, I know neither of these guys, Ersson's missed time with injury and, whatnot, but not in the sense that, one of these guys is made of glass. It just feels very fragile. Like if one of these guys goes down, the ship is sunk. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I just feel like it's just going to take that. It just feels very fragile to me. Does that make sense?
I mean, yeah. I mean, I kind of felt that way coming into the season a little bit because I didn't know Zegras was going to be this good. I didn't know Dvorak was going to be this serviceable, and I definitely didn't think Vladar was going to be doing what he's doing. So, but that's just it. Like seeing the injury to one of those guys, particularly Zegras and Vladar, it's like on top of what you're already dealing with, that could be it. Hook, line, and sinker. Because I don't see the rest of the team pulling them out of this or keeping them at the pace that they were going. And to be honest, when they've played like really top of the line teams who are fully healthy, they don't fare too well. And that we just saw that with it's Toronto a little bit, but mainly Tampa. I mean, they were really never in either of those games. Blame that on what you will. Plenty of blame to go around. But, the whole thing does feel fragile for that reason. And kind of hoping January is such an important month because you really only have 4 or 5 games in February. It's like 2 or 3 before the Olympic break and then 1, 2, or 3 after it. And then boom, it's March. And the deadline's the 6th. Not that I think they're going to become sellers, but maybe they were teetering with buying. And, I'm not sure what they're going to do. But you need to get to have a good idea of what you're going to do and where your position is in January. And if they start to slip and injuries start to pile up, they might be in no man's land. So it's going to be interesting. But at the same time, if they feel they're fragile, but they want to go for it, does that force their hand? Are they looking at a backup goalie? Are they looking at other positions? I don't think they'll spend anything legitimate to get it unless it's a long-term thing. But it's definitely here we go. Thank you, Johnny. Only 11 games left to the Olympic break, and then only like 4 after until the deadline, if that. So, I mean, it's gonna be really interesting, and things are gonna tighten up real quick. So, this week coming up is gonna tell us a lot because the talent level of teams they're playing against, it takes a little bit of a dip, but not too much. These aren't pushover games by any stretch of the imagination. 2 are division games. All are essentially revenge games. So, and you got a back-to-back in there, which means you're starting Ersson, so that should be fun.
Yeah, it's unfortunate because it's become whenever Sam Ersson's in goal, how can you feel confident? Like as a player, it's almost like we're not only are we going to give up the first goal, we're going to give up the first, second, and third, before we can even really get going here. And I know it's the Tampa Bay Lightning, so maybe it's a little harsh. And Dan Vladar, to be honest with you, didn't fare much better on Monday night. Like Tampa Bay is just really rolling right now. I think they've won 10 in a row.
And then they beat Colorado in regulation. I mean, Jim, I'm not gonna lie to you right now. You put out a tweet, and I wish I put out something similar earlier. But we joked around like, who scares you in the East, Jack? Who scares you? Well, you took your own tweet and retweeted and said Tampa. And I got to tell you right now, Jim, if I'm picking, you said Jack, who's in the Stanley Cup final? I'm like Colorado and Tampa. And that's my pick. Yeah.
Yeah, Tampa's and they made it look easy, It was just like, we're out there to do a job. We have to play the Flyers, so we have to beat them. And they did it almost effortlessly. And the Flyers kind of looked a little lost. So that for me was disappointing to see. I wouldn't have really cared if they lost and they were in each game, but they won't. They weren't. And it wasn't really, as those games went on, I found it even hard to find like moral victories. You know what I mean? The Toronto game to me was a massive letdown. I think last week we talked about it and I said, that's the game where they need 2 points because they might not pick up another one, between the 2 games with Tampa Bay, and they blew that game late and they gave it away in overtime. Now, well, I was going to bring up Michkov for a second. I'm going to refrain. But maybe he'll come up later in the episode. But they blew the Toronto game, so they get the 1 point, and then they just get absolutely dog walked, outscored 12-3 in the 2 games versus Tampa at home even. And I wonder if that's like a shock to the system even. Like, all right, that was kind of like our barometer to see, where we are, and we got a lot of work to do. Obviously they weren't going to compete for the Stanley Cup this year. But if Tampa Bay is now the bar in the East, and I know teams like Detroit and Carolina are playing well, but they don't. They didn't do to the Flyers what Tampa Bay did 3 times this year. You know what I mean? So Tampa Bay, I'm going to say right now, sets the bar for, how far away or how close the Flyers are for, making any kind of a playoff run.
Absolutely. And what's one thing Tampa Bay is really, really good at?
They were good at everything. The games against the Flyers, I don't know.
Well, it's not very fair because they are against other teams. And this I really think of the Toronto game when I say this, but Tampa's very lethal on the power play, and Flyers could have beaten Toronto 3-0, maybe even more if their power play is just somewhat competent. And instead, they're a net negative. They give up a Scotty Lawton shorthanded goal, forces that game in OT, and it's like, Jesus Christ, this is how you're gonna like this power play, dude. Like, it's Groundhog's Day again. Like, this is ridiculous. I don't. Who do you blame? I mean, obviously the players. This is just silly.
Well, I've been saying it for however long Rocky Thompson was here too. Like, they don't have the right mix, and it seems like this year, because they had things clicking for a little while earlier in the year. Maybe they're getting too fancy.
Well, you know what the drop off is? It's the Forrester injury. Forrester was the lethal shot that other teams were afraid of. Tippett's not consistent enough, and he's not deceptive enough with his shot. Where Forrester had everything he wanted. Had a nice heavy shot, and they don't have a power play quarterback. I would like to see York, I guess, get more run with it. Ristolainen's just not the guy like he was in Buffalo. Drysdale, I mean, look, 5-on-5, he's fantastic. It's not showing. Andre had a little time. Like, who's left? Like, at this point, like, I guess go back to York and see if he can figure something out. But their power play, it's the same thing. And what really showed it to me was when they had that 4-on-3 in overtime, like 3 weeks ago, and they didn't do anything. And it's like they just they just cycle it. No, there's no deceptiveness, no creativity. And basically what happens is they have trouble entering the zone, at least more now lately than they had. That eats up the clock. They get set up. Puck goes to the point. They get a static 1-3-1 setup. There's no immediate shot threat. Forrester's gone. And the PK of whichever team they're playing just collapses into a tight box and covers the net. And they really don't move from that unless there's a loose puck they got to battle for. And the Flyers just can't get anything through. Every now and then you'll see
do
TK.
That when you don't have a guy that can get the puck through.
Exactly.
You don't have to move.
Every now and then TK will try to sneak in and do this like crazy one-timer where he usually winds up on the ice. But like, that's about it. And you don't force the PK to move, so they just pass it around to each other. And this happens on 5-on-3s. It's not just a regular power play. On 5-on-3, they look it just says inadequate. The other guy had a broken stick. I think that was the Toronto game. There's no killer instinct. They're not like, they're still cycling. I mean, you have a 5-on-3. There's a guy with a broken stick, so it's essentially a 5-on-2 with a lump, and you still are cycling. Like, attack. Like, there's no diagonal puck movement. When they try, it usually is way off the mark, and their low to high action is a joke, and the defense just reads everything in front of them and shuts them right down. And it's I can see it. I've seen it so many times. They do the same shit. They don't try anything different. And I don't think it's just a philosophy thing. I think it's the players' execution on the ice. And I look, they could use obviously a bigger body down low, definitely a power play quarterback. But at the end of the day, these are talented players who have more guys than the other team has. Whenever their other team is in a defensive zone or system, they just can't do it. It is the strangest thing. It's like it's in their heads. It's like Zegras shootout versus breakaway.
I've been saying it for a long time, dude. They don't have a net front guy, and they don't have a guy that can get the puck through from the point. And it's not that you need to play that way, but when you have those things, the PK has to respect that, and then in turn, you end up stretching them out a little bit. They don't have a guy that can get the puck through, so you don't have to worry about the point. You don't have to worry about the guy at the point getting a puck through, because it's going to be a muffin or he ain't hitting the net, right? So what's the guy at the point going to do? He's passing, and you already know he's passing, or you're letting him shoot because you're blocking it. It's very simple. And I don't know who's playing net front. I think I saw Coots playing there. I think Kate scored a goal a little while back playing net front, but they don't have that guy. right? To me, that guy just had a 4-point game over the weekend. He's playing in college, Michigan State. So I can't wait for Martone to come up because he's going to wreak havoc around the net, around the goal, in the crease. And he lives for that shit. They've been missing a guy like Simmons since they lost Simmons. So to me, those are the issues. You can have the most skilled, talented guys in the world, but if they can all just do the same thing, it's very easy to defend. And maybe they're starting to figure that out because you heard Tocchet say, we're going to get Risto on the power play. At least he's got a bomb shot. Maybe he can make a difference out there. And the thing with Risto, for me, at least offensively so far, maybe he's always been like this, but he's been super slow. Like his stick, I feel like weighs 1,000,000 pounds. If you just watch him, like it just feels like it takes him forever to move the puck, to load up a bomb. And I didn't really notice that the last few years. It seemed a little quicker. Maybe he's still getting into the groove. But for me, Jack, it's still personnel. Like you can have the Michkovs, you can have the Zegerases, the Konechny. They're all 5'8", and they all do the same thing. So you don't have a guy wreaking havoc in front of the crease, right? So you don't have to worry about anyone blocking your goalie. You don't have defensemen worried about clearing the crease. They're worried about one thing, and that's guys to the outside. You don't got to worry about a shot coming in from the point. It's very easy to defend the Flyers. That's all.
Yeah, I mean, like
you can bring in whatever coach you want. It's personnel, man.
Yeah, I don't know what they're practicing, but it can't be they're doing out there because they're just cycling, hoping for the defense to just make a misstep, which is not going to happen. It's the NHL, especially when they know how bad your power play is. They're going to let you try to make them make a mistake, and if they just stay doing what they're doing, you got nothing, and you got no threat anywhere. Net front, power play, quarterback, shot. Just got a talented players who just can't seem to get a shooting lane, and it's bad. When in 5-on-3s, barely get a shot off. Like, come on, that's just embarrassing.
Yeah, and for me, I haven't lost hope in Drysdale that he can be that guy. I think they're bringing him along. At least I hope they're bringing him along in a way that he's becoming more responsible defensively, this and that. And he doesn't have the biggest shot in the world. So when I say he can get pucks through, I don't mean that, but he's a guy that can create lanes. And when you change up obviously we all know when you change up the angle on shots or you put it in a place where the goalie can't see it, that's getting pucks through. And that's a genuine skill when you can create your own shot. So, hopefully they tell like Drysdale, hey, like the leash is off, man. Go do your thing offensively and what have you. And, all this stuff about Tocchet over the summer, he wants to see York walk the blue line. Have you seen that from York? Like, you got the green light, dog. What are you waiting for, right? Maybe is he just not that kind of guy? I don't know.
Maybe it's a confidence thing. I don't know. They're not. It's the personnel. Like, I don't care at this point what the plan is. I just see what they're capable of, and they're not doing it. And I don't know why. It's the worst. It's so boring. It's so basic, and it's so easy to defend.
Yeah,
and that's why they are where they are for the last, I don't know, since before Hackstall. Just ridiculous.
Yeah. I saw a couple comments real quick about Carter Amico, he just went to the USHL. If somebody could put the team in the chat, I can't remember the team, but he was with Boston University and he wasn't getting more than 5-6 minutes a night. Like even some nights, like 1, 2, 3 minutes a night. So the move for him to go back to the to go to the USHL, I believe is good, just for pure playing time perspective. Get him on the ice and get him big minutes. Because it was weird what was happening at Boston University. He wasn't playing great, number one. So yeah, that's Carter Amico going to the USHL. Let me look up the team real quick.
Yeah, I mean, how much of that you think has to deal with the injury? Like, it was he dropped him in draft status wise.
Possibly.
It's a big injury for a defenseman.
Possibly, yeah. Second round pick, number 38 overall. So, USHL it's not a bad league. He was formerly with the U.S. National Development Team. I could have swore I saw he was going to a different team, but maybe I'm wrong there. So, anybody in the chat, if you've seen that, feel free to pop that in there.
Interesting.
Yeah, the power play. I I find it hard for myself to really like get angry or like passionate about it because I'm like, come on, like I don't know. It's like another year goes by, and I'm just waiting for Martone, I guess, and Michkov to kind of reset for next year. Like, not that it's a lost year, because maybe after the Olympic break he gets it going. But it was fun to watch him last year at points for I think for the majority of the season at least. And this year it hasn't been as fun. Is that wrong to say?
No, I mean, it's a lot of that's Mishkov. That was a lot of the fun of it too. I mean, I do think the Zegras was fun for a good while, particularly in overtime and shootouts, but that's kind of gone to the wayside. He hasn't gotten over. He's had opportunities. Toronto overtime breakaway, no dice. So that's been part of, and it's Tocchet too. Like they're going to get a lot less shots, things of that nature. So at the end of the day, I don't know what they're trying to do besides obviously win, but I feel like lately, I think it's more lately, I feel like when they're bad and when they lose, they're one of the worst boring teams to watch. When things are clicking a little bit, it's not so bad. But, until they can figure out, like, these are gimmies. Like, even when they had the power play against Toronto, I'm like, look, they don't need to score. Or they do need to score, but if they're not going to, at least extend it and kill some more time. So by the time Toronto comes out of the penalty kill, there's only like 8 minutes left of the game. Maybe they're a little tired. We can just close it out, and we couldn't even do that. We're they're giving up shorthanded goals. It's like, Jesus Christ, what is going on now?
Yeah, and I get it. Like when the team gets good, I guess it's like they lost 3 in a row, twice to the Lightning, which I think we could have all probably chalked up L's there. The game against Toronto stings. They get a point. A 3-game losing streak. Look, they haven't won a game in a week, and I know they're off tonight, so it feels like a long time since they've won. But like everyone was flying high after the Gauthier game, right? Like it's good that people are upset that they're losing because people care, and I think that's good, right?
Yeah, they're tired of the losing, and if we're not gonna, there's people who just are ready to win. They don't care. They wanted to win 2 years ago when that false team took us to almost the playoffs. They wanted to like double down on that team. They were so ready to stop losing and winning, and I get that. But if the other part of us that are like, look, if we're not going to tank continuously for the center we desperately need, then let's win. We want to see him win, and we got a taste of Michkov, then we got a taste of Zegras, and it's like, okay, let's put it all together. And they're just Tampa showed you they're nowhere near that right now for obvious reasons and what have you. But it's going to be a slow build. They're a young team. They're going to do this stuff. They're going to make these mistakes and not play properly, and I think that has a lot to do with it. I just was hoping that something like the power play would be a gimme, and it's here we are again.
Yeah, that's definitely going to hurt a team like the Flyers, who are going to be in, you would assume, unless they're playing the Lightning, more so low scoring 1-goal games and whatnot. So yeah, it is frustrating because when you have the man advantage, you have an advantage. So you should be scoring, I think, at least 20% of the time. So anyways, they have a lot to work on. But I think for myself, because I was getting a little excited there. I'm like, all right, let's make a move for a goalie, and do and Briere kind of said what I was saying the last few weeks. Make a move, but it's got to be a move that would also help in the future, right? I think when people hear me say let's add, it's like, oh, you don't want to trade for Ryan O'Reilly or yada yada, and it's like, no. I mean, if the price was right, I would trade for one of those guys. But no, I'm more so mean, let's make a move. Like I would give up a high pick if it was for a guy that you could keep around for the next handful of years and whatnot. But I think this weekend showed they desperately need a goalie. If you can't fix the power play, they need to bring in a goalie, like without a doubt. I was a Sam Ersson believer. I really like the guy. I think he's got a good head on his shoulders. I like listening to him. I think he knows what's going on. I think he holds himself accountable. And that's what kind of makes us all hurt a little bit more because he knows what's going on. And I think he expects better of himself. And not that his best is really great, but I think we'd all take an 890 save percentage right about now out of Sam Ersson, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a shame too. He was a problem last year, but he wasn't the problem when it came to goaltending. And now it's like, now we got to move. He's like reminiscent of what's his name last year? Hold on, I gotta address this. Flyers purgatory, getting in here as it called the team young, saying they're not young. They are the fourth youngest team in the league. At their average age is 26.6. So I don't know what you're talking about. They're young. They're young. Come on.
So I was thinking of a new show for you, Jack, actually. And I'm kind of stealing this from some of the YouTube golf shows that I watch. It's called they do like Joe versus Schmoes, where if someone's like talking trash in the comments or whatnot, they bring them onto the show and they play around the golf to see, who can win. And I'm not going to put you on the spot, but we could do we'll call it Jack versus a hack, Jack versus the hack. And we'll bring on purgatory again, and we'll have to figure out a way to settle some kind of a score. All right.
Get me set up on NHL or something. Let's go.
Yeah. All right. So what were we talking about? Ersson there. Yeah. His 8.58 save percentage, Jack. You know what that's good enough for?
ECHL.
That's good enough for the Squiddy of the week. You know why? I don't like squid, Jack. I'm probably the only Italian that that doesn't like calamari. And you know what? I don't like Sam Ersson right now, and that's why he's the squid of the week, Sam Ersson. 8.858 save percentage. That is an absolute joke. And he strikes me as I think he's the kind of guy that just needs games. Unfortunately, you lost the starting spot to Dan Vladar. And maybe he just needs a change of scenery now. Maybe there's a team out there that's like, you know what? I don't know who that team is. The first team that always comes to mind is Buffalo with whatever they got going on. But where's Sam Ersson going to go? Do you send him to the minors? What do you do with him?
I don't know. He
has to go in the trade, and maybe whatever team he goes to puts him in the minors, kind of like what the Flyers did with Columbus and Fedotov there, who's having an okay season in the AHL for anybody wondering.
He might just need a fresh start at this point as things continue to snowball and get worse. I don't know. I've seen a lot of Buffalo comes up. Don't they have already too many goalies as it is? They should be moving on from one, not getting one back. So maybe it's a 3-team trade. Maybe it's a separate trade. I don't know. But it's if they're serious about this season, and I thought they would at least attempt something with their inner, with Kolosov or something like that. Go in-house first and then explore the trade market and whatnot. So I guess we'll see. But yeah, I haven't seen them linked anywhere. Apparently there's some rumors of Buffalo, but again, how do you make that work? So I guess we'll see. It's not ours to decide, but they really want to try to still make the playoffs this year. You can't. Ersson's going to play this week. There's no choice. You're not going to make it move that fast, but they need to fix it fast, or he needs to have the game of his life.
Yeah. I don't know who you play him against either. They have, I believe they're still red hot Buffalo team, nationally televised game, TNT. So that'll be a big game up in Buffalo. Do you kind of toss them to the Wolves there? Or the very next night, a Thursday night hockey game on ESPN against the Pittsburgh Penguins, a rival, Jack. Do you send them out to play the rivals in Pittsburgh? Which game are you starting Ersson?
It's a good question. I would start Buffalo game is the first game, right?
Yep.
I'm just going to make the decision to start him in that game. I want to give Vladar an extra day after I saw him stretching his leg like that. I don't know what the issue is. I just feel like you got to pick one of the games. I don't think it matters really. They're both away games. Give Ersson an extra day of rest. Or I'm sorry, give Vladar an extra day of rest with that. Whatever the hell happened to his leg, because we cannot afford to lose him this season if they're serious about any kind of playoff push. So I know it's only a day, but maybe it counts. Maybe it matters. That's how I make the decision.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, if Vladar goes down, doesn't that take a lot of pressure off of this season where you're just like, all right, let's see how far we can slide down here, Because right now, it feels like there's something to lose, right? Like they've been in the hunt almost the entire year. We're past the halfway point now where I think he said, what was it, 11 games away from the Olympic break, the unofficial halfway point in the season, I guess you could call it. They're almost there. If the wheels start falling off before the Olympic break, that would be pretty tough to come back from and say, okay, let's restart. Whereas if you head into the Olympic break on a high, it's a little different. You know what I mean? Where you get those 2 weeks off and you're excited to come back. Like, all right, let's finish the job here. So you're right. January is going to be telling, and yeah, it might not seem like it now, but like Buffalo's in a while. I think they're playing the 2 wild card teams in Buffalo and Pittsburgh as of earlier today. I'm not sure if they're playing tonight or not, but those are the 2 wild card teams.
Big games.
They need look. I'm not saying that there's must-win games because the way the East is, every game could be must-win.
Mm-hmm.
But like, they need to win it. Look, it's easy for me to say they need to take 3 out of 4 points. But I'm going to back off a little bit and just say, just win 1. They're 2 road games, 2, decent teams, I guess. Just win 1 and come home Saturday and beat the goddamn Rangers. That's good enough for me. 2-1 week.
Yeah, I mean, this is a big week because the following week they got Vegas and Colorado. They got the Mammoth as well. But those 3 away games, 2 are going to be very tough. And you can't afford to falter and start to fall down the rankings and give it away points here. So you need to pick up for your fart knocking week last week. Look, I'm glad what they did to Anaheim. That was technically a part of last week, even though it was just before our show. But, out of a possible 6 points, you got 1. And it was pretty embarrassing, all 3 games, to be honest. So you have an opportunity here, as Ersson especially, have an opportunity here to attempt to bounce back. We'll see if Brink or Drysdale are potentially ready. I know Drysdale was injured reserve, but it was reported he could play against Buffalo. Who really knows? I'd be surprised. But, these are manageable games if you really dig deep. And you got to come away with points at least. That's why you are where you are, where you were not winning games earlier in the season. You were still scratching and crawling for points. And the Rangers are a team they're just going to have to flat out beat. They're going to stop being stupid and doing dumb stuff and just beat them. They're better than them. The Rangers are in free falls. Everything up there is not looking good. They're already talking about Panarin not re-signing. They might even move him at the deadline. Like, they just got to win that game. And they got to do what they can against Buffalo and Pitt. You got a big 6 points available. Let's try to grab 4 or 5 of them. Hey, if not all 6, it's been done before. So, and then you go into a tough week after that on a little bit of a West Coast trip. So, I mean, I don't have a lot of faith in everything I just said right there, but that tends to be how I feel after you get 1 point out of a possible 6 and players are getting injured and all that stuff. But this is where we are. It's why it's fragile. It's why it feels so fragile. When they're playing good, you're like, this is exciting. This is great. Future's bright. And then they play poorly. You're like, they should just tank. Like it's unbelievable. So
I guess the good thing this year is they can do either one. They can get to a point and be like, well, how much of a chance do we really have to, win a playoff round? Or how much, is it, I don't want to say, is it worth it to make the playoffs? But I think pushing for the playoffs and, just to say, oh, we got in and it was, a great experience for the players. I don't like that anymore. And maybe there really is truth to that. But as like a fan and someone that watches the games, I don't know, like we saw what happened whenever the hell, I can't even remember what year it was now when the Flyers made the playoffs and they got whooped, absolutely embarrassed against the Penguins. Like, I don't want that again.
Oh yeah. That was, what, 2017, 18?
Dude, I don't even know.
Yeah,
it seems like forever
that.
ago. Anything pre-COVID
they won
to me
2
is
games,
like 20
but
years ago now.
They won 2 games, but like the games they lost big.
Yeah.
I mean, those were the Andrew McDonald years, so that was rough, really
Yeah.
rough.
Yeah. Something interesting while we were talking about New York there. Both New York and New Jersey kind of like did a quick flash rebuild because they were gifted top 1 and top 2 picks in a very short span. They passed the Flyers and just as fast, they're like behind the Flyers again already. And the Flyers have always just kind of stayed in that like sucky, like in between. I don't know. It just kind of made me laugh the way that all kind of went
I
down.
don't know. I think the Devils can turn it around after maybe not this year, but like I
Jack
think
Hughes is just playing with 9 fingers this year.
and Luke Hughes is like the most hated man out there. And Dougie Hamilton, that whole fiasco, there's not a rumor, but there was like talk that the Flyers could add him just to be like a third pairing power play quarterback guy. Like don't start him too much at 5-on-5.
Where did you see this at?
It's not a rumor. It's just like food for thought. Like if he's the Devils and Flyers have historically only made like 3 or 4 trades ever with each other, so it's very unlikely. But like they are
making
looking
$9 million a year for the next 2 years.
2 years, which would not affect us. It wouldn't. Maybe you're going to need some money, but we're not going to have cap issues for 2 years. Like that's not too bad, you know.
Unless the Devils retain
They should because you don't want to give up to, or we send some kind of bad contract back the other way. I don't know the details. It wasn't my food for thought, but as far as need, he's not welcome there. We need a power play quarterback. That was the idea.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't see the Flyers trading with the Devils. So I don't know. But the Rangers are the weird one. Like you talk about culture, like that's kind of what we mean when we talk about culture. That culture there is shot. They like actively hate their upper management, the front office. Like and you know they kind of turned around for a little bit, then they fell back off again, and that just the players that team has, it should just be so much better. It's very strange, very strange. I think if Lafreniere and Capo were legitimate players, Lafreniere may be a solid, but like he's nowhere near a first overall player, like pick player. And it's like if they were anywhere near what they should have been, I think we're rewriting history here. I mean, my God, if things not turned around for them, and now the older guys are not doing it and moving on. Kreider's
couldn't
in
happen to
Anaheim,
better
Truba's
teams.
Yeah, you got that right. So, it is what it is.
I hate to see it. Yeah. Okay. All right. So where are we at here? We talked Buffalo, Pittsburgh, New York, 1-2-1 homestand. So let me ask you this, Jack, because I know a lot of the show has been about like not great things, the power play, goaltending, Sam Ersson. After this 1-2-1 homestand, that couldn't have started better. You know, they were 1-0-1 headed into the Tampa Bay games and then got absolutely demolished. Are you discouraged after that, or are you kind of chalking it up to it was Tampa Bay? You know,
I am discouraged because we did look at it realistically, and we were like, "This is a test," and they failed massively. That's why I'm discouraged. This is a test, and they got slapped in the face with that test. Every team's going to deal with injuries, so I don't want to. Well, they didn't have this guy. You're going to deal with injuries. It doesn't mean you get outscored 12-3 between the 2 games. And yes, I understand that person was responsible for 7 of them, but still, like this can't happen. And you know they weren't, like you said, they weren't in either game at any point really. It was all Tampa all night. Those were both home games. Like yikes! Like, what is that? And that's after that letdown against Toronto. You know, like what is going on? Like nobody could step up. You got injuries? Michkov can't step up. Michkov can't get, I don't know if you want to argue about his ice time or whatnot, but like you got guys injured now. You have no Forster or Brink. You know, like shouldn't he be getting more ice time? Does he deserve it? Is he doing anything with what he's getting? I don't know. It's kind of that's why I'm discouraged. Like it'd be the stars were aligning in a sense for him to come break out of it a little bit maybe, and it's just like went out with a whimper. It's only a couple games, but still, like, what is that? Like. It's not like Vasilevsky played both games. They had their backup in there too. They could barely generate shots. The shots they do get are weak. Like it's just not a good performance at all. It happens. Teams go through it, but there was a huge test, and I think they know it was a test, and they failed completely.
Did it exploit what they need to be better at? Like, could they be
Yeah.
spinning it in a way where they're like, all right, well, we know we need goaltending help, and okay, we know we need power play help.
For sure. I mean, these are things they should have already known, especially the power play. But I think it really exposed Ersson. Like he's just, yeah, you really now after that Tampa game, it's like before there was like, you know what, the team really has his back. There's this, there's that. There was a stretch
Kind
where
of
he
felt
was good.
like a last straw type thing.
Yeah, it was like, yeah, I think this is it. I think everybody's on board now. Like, yeah, you're a nice guy, but it's a business, and we got to move on here. I don't even know. We'll start you because we have to until we can find a better solution. I really think even the Flyers brass is at that point. And, you know, it's John Izzy mentions here, Zegras didn't get on the score sheet, and Flyers offense looks terrible. That's direct correlation. But not doing anything with the power plays, we've already talked to that at length. That is embarrassing enough in its own right. I can't even blame, as bad as the officiating was, especially in that second game. That's not the reason why they lost.
No.
You know, no, not even close. I mean, it
just
was
kind of added.
it just made you mad. It just made you mad.
Like, come on, we're already getting our asses kicked.
Oh,
let us just get the hell out of here.
Yeah, the Flyers don't get retaliatory the retaliation penalty in their favor. Like they're just not allowed. It was such a bad, poorly officiated game. But Tampa still wins that game in a landslide. Like they're just that much better. And that's, you know, I do got to give them a little bit credit. Like I do have them right now being my Eastern Conference representative in the Cup. But I just hope the Flyers, they didn't have to win. I just hope they would show they belonged a little bit. Like I'm like, you know, half watching in the second period already because they just look like shit.
Yeah,
the Dvorak goal had me. I was like, oh, and then like they gave up a goal not long after that. I was like, and
we're 3-0 already, right?
Yeah, it's just like, come on.
There were stretches where they were starting to like look better and like, you know, play with the Lightning and like, all right, maybe keep it to 3-1 for a while here. Just keep it respectable. And then I don't recall what the score was, but like that Hagel power play goal. And I know, you know, we're not going to knock Vladar, but that should have been a save, in my opinion.
Well, the very first
just
goal of the
absolutely
game
fires it past him.
Right.
You know,
he's definitely not one of his best games, but like the first goal of the game, I like had to double check my the TV. I was like, oh, did I put the first Tampa Bay game on by accident?
Every time a new period started, Tampa Bay scored a goal.
And I'm like, who was that? What was that? I didn't even know the player. And I don't know. And the way it like trickled through, I was like, what is with Tampa, man? And it's like they can't recover. Like they're just like they go into you know, because they're so worried about giving up odd man rushes because they'll kill you. Tampa will kill you. That they'll get any offense going. The goal Dvorak scored was like really impressive when you look at the replay. Like he didn't have a whole lot to shoot out because he went short side and he really hit all both posts and the crossbar and again that was their only goal. Like it's just dog shit.
Yeah. So for me, I'm gonna say, you know, I had to sit with this for a little bit because I'm like, all right, it would have been nicer to see them play better against Tampa Bay. But you know, the outcome that was most likely to happen happened. So you wanted to be wrong about that, and you know, we weren't. So it's like, okay, well, that was supposed to happen then. So, you know, not that it makes it any better, but it's like, well, we got Tampa Bay out of the way. We don't have to play them anymore this year. You know, if the same thing happens against Buffalo, who, you know, one of the top 3-4 hottest teams in the league right now, 8-2 in their last 10, currently sitting in the second wild card spot. I'll be frustrated if they lose like 5-2, you know, 6-1, something like that against the Sabres, who I think they beat the Flyers not too long ago. Let me bring the score up here because I know that they played them. I guess it was back in December. The Flyers beat them 5-2, and then they ended up beating the Flyers 5-3 at home. So this is sort of the swing game here. So the Flyers have showed that they can beat the Sabres, and the Sabres beat the Flyers during their little win streak there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8-game win streak, 9, 10-game win streak to end December. And then they haven't really cooled off too much in January. They're 3-2, maybe 3-1-1. I'm not sure. So they're scoring a lot of goals, Jack, and the Flyers are giving up a lot. So we'll see. So this is what I would do. just to try to stop the bleeding, if Ladar is okay, I'm starting him against Buffalo. To me, and I know the Penguins are Thursday night, but I want to go into that game on a high. There's more of a chance you lose the back-to-back. So try to get the 2 points Wednesday. Go with Vladar and see what you can do Thursday against Pittsburgh. Like I said, just 2 points out of 4. But I think if you lose the game tomorrow night, you could be flirting with an offer,
Yeah, you might be right. What's scary is you start with Vladar and Buffalo's just rolling and you lose. Now you're going into Pittsburgh with Ersson. It's like, oh boy. And people like me hate Pittsburgh, hate them. And it's a revenge game. They embarrassed us the first time we played them. I was at that game. It sucked. Forrester got hurt. We lost 5-1 at home ice. Crosby had 2 goals. Like it's just, this could line up to be a really good week or a really bad week. I don't think there's going to be much in between.
Let me see. Is this the last game against the Penguins this year? Because if it is, who's going to have it out for them.
No, I think they that's a division game, so they should play them more.
Don't you miss the days when they played like 6, 8 times? They played 8 times, by the way. I don't know if the guy that was going back and forth with me on Twitter is in our chat, but do you remember just after the lockout, the most recent one, when the games were on, it wasn't the Outdoor Network. What the hell, chat? Versus?
Yeah, it was after the Outdoor Network. Yeah, Versus. Yeah.
And we were playing, and they were playing division teams like 8 times for like at least 2 or 3 seasons. That was amazing to me. I would love to see that back.
I think that's better than the playoff situation where they force you into like these playoff matchups where the teams with good records end up getting screwed and you're always seeing the same playoff matchups. I would rather just play a lot during the regular season and then whatever happens in the playoffs happens for sure.
Like, here's a question, and Chad, I want to know what you guys think too. Would you rather see the Dallas Stars once or the Pittsburgh Penguins 4 times at home? I would pick the Penguins every single. I don't give a shit about the Dallas Stars. Let alone they're good, but like the Anaheim game last week kind of made me remember like back in the day, Jack. Like every other game was the Cutter Gauthier game growing up, and I'm like, why did it feel like that? And that's why they played division games every other friggin' night. They were playing the Rangers, Penguins, Devils, Capitals, and those games meant something. Now it's like, oh, we got the Anaheim Ducks. I mean, I'm sorry, the Anaheim Ducks is a bad example. We got the LA Kings in town. We got the San Jose Sharks in town.
Right, we got the Mammoth.
The players don't even give a shit about playing these teams. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's a reason for Cutters. That's why I think it's a good thing. But normally it would be like, okay, here comes the Ducks.
Yeah.
But like I remember growing up against any game against the Rangers, that's ingrained into your skull. I hated the Devils because of what happened in the playoffs and what happened to Lindros. I always hated the Penguins. The great playoff matchups there. Great playoff matchups there. But even before Crosby, I remember the Darius Kasparaitis hit on Lindros. Like I remember Matthew Barnaby stirring the pot. Like, these are division games. These teams hated. So when they did play in the playoffs, it was epic. Epic. Like that 5-time overtime goal game. Like that was incredible. Like to do that against Pitt. You were losing that series at the time. Like, yeah, they totally screwed it up. That's Bettman for you. Like he's good at growing the game. As far as like rules within the game, he's a moron.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's like a player safety thing, but it can't be like
this is hockey. We don't do this. Soon will be that player safety thing, Jim. Soon we'll be resting players like the NBA at that rate.
It would be good for logistics too, because you'd have all the guys in the in the same area for larger amounts of time and yada yada. But whatever. That kind of just came to mind.
I agree with you. I'd rather have it that way and have the playoffs change to how they used to be.
Yeah, I mean, imagine playing it doesn't have to be 8 times a year, but imagine like getting the Rangers 6 times a year, the Penguins 6 times. And maybe that's like boring. I don't know. Maybe that's boring for some people. Maybe they want to see the Sharks and they want to see Celebrini. But it's like I would rather take 3 games against the Rangers at home any day of the week.
Well, look at football. You play the Eagles, for example, have 3 division rivals, and they play them twice each. when you only have 17 games or 16, 17 games, that's a lot of your schedule percentage that you're playing your rival. Those games are huge. I feel like I would be all for that in the with hockey. I kind of miss the smaller divisions too, to be honest with you. Like, the Capitals and the Carolina Hurricanes, they're rivals, but not like the Penguins and the Rangers and the Devils. Like, that's a whole different it's another step up. And I'd rather have it back to where you're playing these guys all the time. Eight's a lot. I can live with 6 because if you have the larger divisions, then that's fine. But I'd rather do that than make sure we get the Kraken at home and we got to go out to Seattle, or Vegas or the Sharks. Don't need to play these teams twice. There are going to be years where you don't play them at all, for all I care.
Right. Yeah.
So, I'm with you.
Yeah. And you know what? Like, to me, like, it creates the different rivalries. Like, obviously you're going to have the divisional rivalries, but then you get to the playoffs and maybe, if it's the 1 versus 8, I'm looking at Nick's comment here. I would love to go back to the 1 versus 8. And then let's say you get matched up a team like the Sabres 2 years in a row, or the Senators, like, what used to happen back in the day. Like, to me, those were like, oh shit, we got the Senators again.
So
the Sabres again.
So the thing about that,
still.
It wasn't really 1 through 8, but you had 3 division winners and they got the top 3 spots. And from there was 1 through 8. So winning your division still kind of meant something. But it was as close to 1 through 8 as you get. If you did that now, only the top 2 spots would be, you have one potential if one division is better than the other. Maybe one team gets knocked down a peg because the other division rival's got to have the 2 seed. But like, your top teams are still at the top. Your other teams are still, and you're going to get a different variation of matchups. You'll have your Flyers versus Buffaloes in the first round. I remember those battles with Dominik Hasek and whatnot, or Ottawa, and then Toronto or Pitt in the second round, and New Jersey or New York in the Eastern Conference Finals. Like, that was perfect. Like, you got the best matchups that made the most sense. The NHL used to reseed, which makes the most sense, instead of being crammed into your division and just who wants to see Edmonton and LA again? It'll be the 8th time in a row for lucky. Like, it's just silly.
Like, I remember hating Daniel Alfredsson,
well,
because of those playoff series.
Team, yeah, we were a good team, and they were not allowing us to score. And all I remember is Shekmanik yelling at the bench, mid game.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't mean to sound like one of those guys like, oh, it was so much better like back in the day, but like, I truly believe that it was like, I don't know. Playing division teams only 4 times a year kind of just doesn't feel right to me.
Yeah. So before you realized.
Yeah.
We're like in January. We're like, did we play them all for this year? Like, that's wild.
Yeah. Speaking of, so what brought all this up is we actually, after Thursday night, we played Pittsburgh one more time in March in Pittsburgh. That's a Saturday. So I guess we played Pittsburgh both times at home.
I guess so. I don't remember the first. I thought the first matchup was the one I went to. Maybe I missed one. Did they beat them earlier in the season at home?
I think they did. So they lost at home, and they must have won at home. They lost 5-1 December 1st.
Was that one?
And I know they beat them once. They won in a shootout, 3-2 back in October.
There you go.
So, yeah, 2-2. All right. Well, 2 more against Pittsburgh, both away. Crosby's going to feast.
I hope not.
Unfortunately.
Hit him.
One of the all-time greats. Do you like? Here's a question for you, Jack.
Don't piss me off.
When you watch Crosby, can you at least appreciate how good he is?
It's easier now than before.
Yeah.
I think the only thing that pisses me off now is people talk about him like he was this gentleman player his whole career. I'm like, like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Like, I saw something. Who were they hating on? They were hating on Porter Martone for like tapping the player.
Yeah, I saw this. Yeah.
Like, it was like a Penguins fan talking about Crosby and this. I'm like, did you watch Crosby in his first, 10 years in the league? He was a freaking, like, not a rat like Marchand, but like the stunts he was pulling. Are you kidding me? Like, yeah, no, he infuriated me.
Yeah, he was a prick.
And don't get me wrong, a lot of it's because he was incredible. And he took it out on the Flyers ever since Darren Hatcher put him in the next week. But, like, Do I think he's the greatest of all time? No, I don't even think he's the greatest player in his franchise history. But he's still top
Man,
five.
it's pretty top to top, yeah.
Yeah, he's still top five. I'm not stupid. I don't let my anger cloud my judgment. But if he was on fire, I wouldn't piss on him to save him. Hey, it's just is what it is.
Would you put him like in the top 5 of like our generation of hockey that we kind of, because I think we saw Gretzky, but like I don't remember him playing for anyone other than the Rangers. Yeah, like I really don't remember Gretzky.
I barely remember Mario because he was sick a lot of the
right.
time that I would have been saw him towards the end. So I mean, yeah, he's probably, unfortunately, Crosby's number in our generation. He probably is number one, unless you want to put Bedard there, or not Bedard, McDavid there already, depending on how you feel. But I saw, because if he's top 5 all time, our generation, it's like him and Ovechkin.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really it. And then that's coming to an end, and you can start to talk your McKinnons and your McDavids and where they land. But you got to see when you're talking greatest of all time for your generation, you need the whole picture, because it's going to get real petty if these guys are close. But Crosby's going to be tough to beat.
Yeah.
I still hate him with everything. That's all these Flyers. Let's see him on the Flyers, not over my dead body. I don't care how good he is.
Oh, you wouldn't root for him?
Never want to see it. I know, and you're not alone. There's a whole flock of y'all, and I don't care.
If Pittsburgh was tanking this year and Crosby won it out, I'd be banging on that drum, dude. I'd be insufferable.
He hates us. He hates you. He hates me. He would never play here. He hates us, and the way he says he hates us is such a whiny, Philly thing.
But don't you kind of love it though? Like we need more of that.
If we were winning against them more, yeah. But because he's really had our number, it's really tough to swallow.
See, exactly what you just said there is why I find it hard to hate them, because the Flyers have sucked. Like, it could have been amazing. Like, it could have been, it was the best rivalry in hockey for a few years there, and the Flyers they ruin everything, man. They ruined that. It hasn't been a rivalry, I think this year the Flyers have been playing better, so I think it's natural for Flyers fans to be like, oh yeah, we're good again. We're playing Pittsburgh, let's go. And I feel like Penguins fans are just kind of like, bro, we already won everything. He's at the end of his career, pipe down a little bit, So the Flyers sucking for so long and tell me if this makes sense. They've made it hard for me to hate Crosby because there's been no rivalry there. And he owns the Flyers. He's owned them his whole career. The thing about Crosby, the biggest fear that you had when he was drafted by Pittsburgh, it all came true. Anything that could have gone wrong for the Flyers in regards to Crosby, it all happened. He absolutely dominates the Flyers every time he plays. I mean, he's won, 3 cups? Is it 3 or 4?
It's 3.
Like anything
that was 4.
Anything that you were please don't win a cup. He won 2,
I know.
3.
That's what I would say.
Please just don't dominate the Flyers. Don't abuse us every time he plays us. And he does. And it's fuck, man.
It's him, but it's also the league, what they did for the Penguins. And I will fight and argue with anybody who says otherwise, but they manufactured him going to Pitt. That team just got everything, and then they actually the league would do things that irks me. When we beat them in 2012, you remember we were down 3-0 in game 1, and Briere scored a breakaway goal to make it 3-1 and start the comeback. He was offside by a hair, less than a hair. The league actually apologized to the Penguins. That's how bad they are all over them. and it's just I remember an offsides back in the 80s that nobody said a damn thing about, so it's the way they treat that team and him and how they manufactured getting them there so they wouldn't move. And if you say otherwise, you're a liar. I have proof. So
yeah.
It just adds to the hate. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, a couple comments I want to get to here. So I find this interesting. So heavy hitter comments here. I watch Gretz. I'm 56 now. Hextall, Sinisalo, etc. But the greatest of all time to this day is Mario Lemieux, hands down. Never be another like him. McDavid couldn't hold a candle to Mario. And the only reason I'm bringing that up, because that's interesting, Christmas Eve this year, we had a little family wasn't an argument, but it was a nice discussion, a nice hockey Christmas Eve discussion. And, Gretzky came up and Lemieux came up, and there was actually like a really like big argument that Mario Lemieux was more talented than Wayne Gretzky. I know Gretzky's got the numbers. Mario got sick, but exactly what Heavy Hitter said here was there was nothing like Mario Lemieux. Like, he was the best. So it's just, maybe I'll go back and watch some of these to have an opinion for myself. But, hearing that, Jack, does that surprise you?
No, because for me, I've heard Gretzky even say that. He says Mario's better than he is.
Yeah.
He was. And I didn't watch it. I was too young, way too young. But from what I understand, like, all we can go by is the numbers now and the cups and whatnot, and that heavily favors Gretzky. But that's not a closed book on who was better. But unfortunately, he got sick, so it's kind of like you kind of have to go with the numbers there, and the numbers are ridiculous. Like, some of Gretzky's numbers, like if you take away all of his goals, he still leads in points by a landslide. That's a ridiculous stat. That is crazy.
That is nuts.
So, but that being said, I've heard that before about Mario a couple of times. So the only problem I had is it shouldn't say McDavid couldn't hold the candle; it should say Crosby couldn't hold the candle. So that was my only problem with that.
And then Dan kind of made me laugh here when I was going on my Crosby.
I'm glad somebody stood up with me there. Some people, you just got to understand, they can't be Flyers. It's too much hate. There was a player, I don't remember who it was. It was like, I think he played for either Montreal and he was going to go to Toronto, or vice versa. And he nixed the trade at the last second. It was like, I just couldn't spend my entire career hating a team and then going to play for him. And I got to look that up, who that was. But he's like, I just can't do it. And that's where I'm at. That's where I'm at. I can't hate somebody for so long. Like, the only exception is maybe Jágr. But I don't remember Jágr for how old I was, giving the Flyers too much fits. Yes, the early 90s. I was 5 years old. I'm more on the mid to late 90s, where we were beating them, in the 2000s as well. And then he was a Capital and then a Ranger. And those teams didn't do a whole lot. So it's like it was much more easier for me to accept. Plus, he was incredibly talented. Oh, there you go. Dan knows what I'm talking about. Dan didn't make it up. So that's the player that I think he played for Montreal and was going to go to Toronto, I think, and couldn't do it.
Oh, but, Josh Georges. I remember that freaking guy.
Right, yeah. So,
all right, most career goals against this would be good trivia here for maybe the Jack vs. Hack trivia. Most career goals against the Philadelphia Flyers in the history of the league. This is according to StatMuse. It is Crosby, yeah. That's Crosby. This says 59 goals. I'm not sure if this is.
I saw every single one of them.
Yeah, seriously.
One thing that he is like otherworldly about is his hand-eye coordination, particularly swatting pucks out of the air. I feel like he never misses, and it always goes where he wants it to. And it was so irritating to me. It's like, how the hell does that crap go in? Like, it was just more. What else could go wrong? Like what you're saying there. So yeah.
Next up on that list is Alexander Ovechkin, which makes sense because that's all he does is score goals. All right. So I'll wrap this up with this. Do you know who? Just take a guess, Jack. Who number 3 and number 4 are on this list? I'll leave it up to the chat too. Nobody look it up.
All time,
and most goals scored against the Flyers. Number 3 and number 4. Obviously, it's going to be a team that they've played a lot over the years.
I'm trying to think of division rivals. Give me an error.
An error. Well, just before, I guess, these guys, Crosby, Ovechkin.
So before the lockout of 2005?
Definitely before the lockout.
I was going to see Lemieux or Jágr.
Yeah, that's it. 3 and 4.
Oh, there you go. Thanks, Vinny. Vinny gave me Jágr.
Did he say it?
I was thinking Lemieux, and then he goes Jágr. I was like, well, let's go with both.
Yeah, Lemieux 51, Jágr in 4th with 47.
There you go. I was trying to think who else was like a dominant offensive force on a division team, and I'm like, the Rangers kind of had guys in and out. So you know what I mean. So and same with the Devils.
You got Gartner, Trottier, Bossy. So
I was about to go back to the 80s. Yeah, I was gonna be like, it was when the Islanders were on their 4 in a row cup run or something. But so there you go.
Yep. Crosby, Lemieux, Yager, 1, 2, 3, respectively, in total points. So
that's their whole franchise right there.
Man, it would be nice if the Flyers could get a few guys like that.
Now we play the game the right way, Jim.
Yeah.
We were supposed to get the first overall pick, but we lost the lottery. That's not weird.
Man, could you just imagine if they had Celebrini?
I just saw them. Patrick Kane scored his 500th goal. I'm like, should have been a Flyer.
Although I think JVR starting to put pucks in the net up there too, actually.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing is, I heard, I don't know if this is true or not, but I heard that if the Flyers did have the first overall pick, they were going to take JVR anyway. And that actually made me feel better about losing the lottery, because back then, that is 100% something I could have seen them doing.
Man, when I think about some of the past thing that this team's done, it really does kind of make you sad. Sorry, I almost cursed on YouTube.
I do it all the time.
But it's really sad. Like when you think of the shit that they've done over the years and how long this franchise has been like this, like when they re-signed JVR, Jack, do you remember how happy we were? And then you look back and you're like, you're an idiot for thinking that that was.
And you had to twist Hextall's arm just to do it. He didn't even want to do it. Yeah. Exactly. You got to give something for us now. But
when they traded for Ryan Ellis was one of the happiest days in the last decade of being a Flyers fan, and he played 3 games.
Three games, and now he's Carl Grundstrom. But this here from Chris Fury is anytime there's a milestone coming up, Crosby, Malkin, any division rival, usually any team at all, really, but especially with the division rivals. And I did do this once. It was a Crosby something milestone goal. I actually put the bet in, and sure enough, he scored in the first period. It didn't even take that much time. This is part of the embarrassment. If there's somebody who's going to get a milestone goal points, first NHL goal, first NHL point, or 500, 1,000, and they're playing the Flyers and they're on the cusp, it's happening. It's one of the most easiest bets to make. And it just, for the longest time, this is why I would say from 15 to last year, nowish, maybe you play with some of those years, give or take, is the worst stretch in Flyers hockey ever.
Okay. Heading into Thursday night, Jack. So you might want to put a couple bucks on Crosby again. Let me see if the play between now and Thursday. I'm sure they do. Penguins play the Lightning tonight. It says it's 0-0. If Crosby doesn't score tonight, Jack, he will head into the game Thursday night with 649 goals. Bet the house that he gets 650.
He might get 660. Yeah. 100%. How many points does he have?
He's got 1,736.
All right, so 4.9 to get to 40. Yeah. And a goal.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so true, though. If anybody's needed any kind of thing, it happens every time.
Yeah.
Clockwork.
Yeah. All right. Well, all right. So everyone put your bet in for Thursday. Sidney Crosby, what is it? Anytime goal or first goal, whatever you want.
Well, they're actually talking about, this is a good point by Vineet. Yeah, Lyndon's right. It did. It's going to happen. So everybody put your bets in, and we'll talk about it, how we all made money.
Yeah, I mean, cursed it. If you come in next week and you're like, hey, you better say, hey, Jim, thanks for telling me.
At the same time, this is a curse that's been going on for quite some time. But you don't have your Stevenses, your Ulf Samuelsons, your Darius Kasparaitis in today's game, the clutch and grab, that kind of stuff. They can just kind of go. And Crosby kind of represented the change in the guard. That, for me, it's another reason why I can't stand him. Not really his fault, but they definitely got away from the really physical play. Kind of like how everybody loved the game we just played against Anaheim. It was an old school hockey game. Those games are few and far between now. And I think Crosby's arrival and sissiness kind of ushered in we're going to be more about skill, less about ripping each other's heads off. And I get it, where the head injuries are now, CTE, all that stuff, and I get it. It was going to happen whether I wanted it to or not. But he opened that. He was the guy they were using going forward, and anytime anything ever happened to him, league came down heavy on you to try to get away from that. And sure enough, they did.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and It would have sucked if he would have if his career was derailed. I mean, look, you never want to see anybody get hurt, but like from a Flyers fan perspective, I could see how people would be like, all right, well, that helps us. Like how do I say this without sounding like a fanboy? Like I'm glad that we got to see. I'm glad he got to play out his career healthy. How's that? And whatever was going to happen was going to happen. And I would hope that they would say the same thing for Eric Lindros, who Benit mentions in the chat. Like, it sucks that his career was derailed the way it was, because he could have been, top 10 best player all time. And we didn't get to see it happen.
Not just him. I mean, I think about like where this team was when Pronger got hurt and was basically done. We were just at the worst luck. God.
This franchise
what did
why.
Schneider sell in
Something
the mid-70s that we're still paying for it to this day? Like, my God.
I don't know. Maybe we'll do an episode or two of like all the bad things that have happened in the last few decades here. I mean, you don't have to look very far. Like,
no.
They get the number 2 overall pick, and he's the only. Not only is he the only guy not in the league anymore, but every player picked around Nolan Patrick is a superstar. It's just insane how that played out.
And he's out of the league. What? Because of concussions?
That's what they say.
Thank you. I'm glad you're with me. I'm glad you're with me on that.
He liked to fish and hang out.
The heart wasn't there. The skill was there. The heart wasn't in it.
Yeah. So, all right.
That's what we get.
Let's wrap this up. We're an hour and almost 12 minutes into the episode, boys and girls. If you enjoyed what you saw tonight, do us a favor, give us a like. Our like goal for the episode is 100. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. If you enjoyed the episode, make sure to subscribe as well. We're trying to hit 3,000 subscribers. If you subscribed already, thank you very much. As I mentioned, give us a like, help us achieve our goal of 100 likes for the episode, and drop a comment. Let us know if you liked what you heard tonight, or maybe, if you want me to shut up about Sidney Crosby, let me know that. So yeah, if you're listening as a podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, make sure you subscribe, set alerts so you're the first to know when we drop a new show. And for all of our latest episodes, you can find everything on YouTube. So yeah, for Jack, any last thoughts before we wrap up?
Just Benit with another one. Every time the Flyers have made it to the Stanley Cup Finals and had not win was against the Dynasty. Just more luck.
Yeah.
Leave on a high note.
Hopefully we're back next week with a little bit more positivity. In the meantime, don't forget to keep it high, keep it wide. We'll see you next time on HW Hockey. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Thanks for watching HW Hockey. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. We'll see you next time.